And we're back. Whoa. Some cool music on in the background. So this book is one of many great books on how to draw comics, but it's been a go-to book for me for many years. Andy Smith is a very cool dude. He is on YouTube and Twitter and here and there. Just a solid guy, super nice, intelligent, talented dude. And maybe the music's a little too loud. Let's make it so I'm not yelling in your face. Anyway, let's just do a little review of some of the cool stuff in here. I guess I don't know. Maybe this is a sales pitch. This is one of the cooler things that I like about it is the use of light on the anatomy. This is kind of what I would call Hellboy lighting, where it's super high contrast. You just have like light and black, light and dark. This is a lot, well, maybe not normal, but if you look at the way the ball is, we have this kind of dark center and then these reflective light, the light's bouncing off of something and back into the shadow. This has a nice sophisticated look to it. What else? Here's I suppose this is more the kind of lighting that I use in my own comics right here. Anyway, there's just all kinds of goodies in here, anatomy, and he simplifies the anatomy in such a way that you can understand how to put your characters together. This is an important part in comics and other illustration, is understanding the way that the clothes fold and whatnot. Hollandier is here. Well met, my man. And anyway, there's just some cool fun tricks of the trade. Everybody has their own way. Oh, there he is. Everyone has their own way of sort of drawing faces, I guess. I like to think that mine's based a bit more on the classical stuff. But yeah, strongly recommend this book for anyone, even people who are doing fine art. There's really good advice in here in terms of what you need to know. And there you go. There you go, and now you know. So this, just popping this out, like the inking in this, I think is really nice. I need to be using heavier blacks, like heavier shadows in my work, I think. But anyway, so how you doing, Hollandier? What's new? Move the light a little bit here. How was your weekend? So I'm off today, so like this is my Saturday. Although I did go out Friday and Saturday nights. Had a freaking really fun weekend, which is so good. Like I wish I could get out more, like on weekends, But anyway, there you go. So where to begin? Maybe I'll work on this guy here for a bit. I'm gonna be on Discordant Dragons tonight at 6. Yiz the Unifier has her show. It's a kind of what would I call it? It's like a game show with political questions. It's kind of a fun hangout session. I don't know sort of how many influencers are usually on there, or if it's just her friends and followers. But anyway, you look at it, it's a good bunch of people with some fun gaming type questions and a fun sort of show format and all that. And I guess Yiz is doing media full time now. Like, I think that's pretty much her job now. It's pretty amazing. So what I like among her shows is her morning walks. She does these kind of morning walks and just shares her thoughts. It's just very kind of laid back, casual. Good stuff. So Hollandier says, I chipped my screwdriver and gored my hand and dropped a closet on my right foot twice. So I'm consigned to ass in chair duty for a bit. Otherwise, all is sweet. My dude, how in the hell did you do all that, man? I tell you, you're a beast. Sucks when the accidents happen, you know, it's like, that's my whole thing about martial arts. Is like, I don't want to get injured so that I have to, you know, have, like, first of all, like, not train for a while, but then also now I've got like a new injury that I have to be careful of every time I'm sparring or something, you know. I broke my knee years ago and I have to like work around that, you know what I mean? There are recurring guests, but she has a good rotation of new blood on Discordant Dragons, which is cool. Very nice. Das ist good. So it's good time. I'm looking forward to it. She runs the show like a pro. Really on top of her stuff, you know. And you know, when you're on a show like that, you sort of kind of need to be on your game too, right? You know, be sort of like, okay, you know, what can I say that might be witty, you know, or fun, you know, and just to make the show more interesting, you know. Not everybody can do that. That's a kind of a thing, but I've had guests on that are, you know, getting them to talk about stuff is like pulling teeth. And you're like, you know, like this isn't working. So you have to pick up the slack, you know. Of course, I'm not going to do that. I won't. I mean, I'll be a good guest, is what I guess I'm saying. Plus, I'm interested in meeting her friends and her crowd. You know, I think we're all on the same team, you know. So it's a good opportunity to broaden my horizons, which I did recently with Paul Patriarch, who is I'm doing my Tuesday show with him, Patriotic Art Live. And so he hooked me up with a dude goes by the name Paul English, and he has a blog. No, a podcast. Sorry. It's obviously it's like UK based, you know. And hang on a sec. I was on that show a couple days ago. It's like a good 2-hour show. Paul English is really like totally cut out for doing like radio shows and that kind of you know, podcasts and the like. So he's just got the energy, you know, he's got the energy, he's got the wit, intelligence. He knows how to run a show, he knows how to go with the flow and, you know, get people talking, da-da-da-da. So I feel like that's cool. I kind of have a new friend here, you know. And just moving right along, you know. Moving right along. So, dude, I'm sorry to hear about your injuries. That's rough. That sounds pretty painful. What kind of work were you doing at the time when you had that accident? was just thinking years ago when I was a college kid, I did, various jobs, and but there were things like house painting and landscaping, and you get a good amount of injuries on those jobs. Those sort of like outdoorsy jobs. Some of them are just dumb accidents. Some of them are caused by like really stupid coworkers that don't know how to act. Woodlanders here. Good evening to you. I would assume that you're probably in the UK if you're saying good evening, or Europe somewhere. It's afternoon here in the States where I am. Beautiful day. We've been blessed with some really, really nice weather. I usually think of November as very gloomy, but for us, October was more gloomy, which is very Halloweeny, which is okay in its own way. But so UK, Cool Hollander says I was building it and then moved into another room. I was just being sloppy and paid for it, which is the embarrassing when you don't learn to learn the first time. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I guess that means it'll force you to like read more books or something. Try to, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Anyway, so when I was going out this weekend, part of the big event was that one of my DJ friends had a birthday, and so she's been begging me to come see her play, and it's always on like on a day or a time that it doesn't work for me. So like I thought I gotta make this work. It's her birthday, and I'll be honest. There's an attraction thing going on there. Yeah. So I bought her a nice drink and la 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 la, fill in the blanks. So we had a good time, and it's just great. Yeah, man. Those going out times are my fun times. So. All work and no play makes Donald a dull boy. I mustn't have that. So yeah, anyway, I was on this Paul English show just a couple days ago. And it's funny because I'm with Paul Patriarch, and then there are two guys from England. And I'm like just dying to like start talking in an English accent. I was like, is this gonna be stupid or annoying, or are they gonna be insulted? And like, should I do this, or And I kind of slipped into one at one point just for added, like, because I was joking about something, and like Paul English laughed quite a lot at it. So maybe I should, just for fun. A lot of times you do these shows, and then afterwards I kind of talk like, hey, let's do a follow-up show, in a couple months or something. And so I'll probably do that, at some point there. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on. So today, 5 o'clock, I'm on Discordant Dragons. Tomorrow, I haven't really set a time yet, but normally the Patriotic Art Live is at 12 noon Eastern in America. Paul has to kind of confirm that. We're not yet confirmed, but so he wanted to finish up the artwork that he started for the Kai Muros show. And I thought, yeah, fine, if like this, it's our show, we can do whatever we want, So I think what I'll do is I'll play some more Kai Muros speeches while we're doing some art. I pretty much finished the art for that theme. So I have to kind of think, well, what am I going to do? A new piece, maybe a portrait of Kai Muros. I haven't quite figured that out quite. Actually, I would love to hear any themes that you guys would like us to draw on. Any topics relevant to the white identity movement that would be moralizing or interesting or beautiful or useful. One of the topics we were chatting about is possibly doing a theme on mythology, and then that made me think through, well, like which mythology? You've got all the different kinds from Europe, but I guess I would probably maybe do Celtic mythology, but at the same time, I'm just going through my character sheets here because there's so many different costumes that I have to have a little library here to tell me, well, okay, what are the details on that girl's costume? I just did this dude a second ago. Okay, so Woodlander says, how long does a pencil page take? I've always found the initial rough takes a bloody age. Yeah. Well, you got to start off by thinking, okay, for example, I have a client that I'm working with, and he's a writer, and so we have to have kind of chats or meetings about what we're gonna do, and then he'll send me the script, and then I have to lay it out. So there's all the storyboards alone are a whole process where you're interpreting text and drawing out what he's saying. Okay, someone comes into a room, da 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 da. You get the idea. So that's actually where the art and the skill and the storytelling takes place. So gosh, how long does that take alone? Because I consider that part of the penciling stage. And I don't know. I mean, it could take an hour. It could take 3 hours. It's really kind of about, you get ideas and you're like, well, I want this to look really cool, or maybe I just saw something in a comic book that I want to copy into my design, or there's a scene in a movie that's like this and I want it to come across, you know what I mean? So, and then the actual layouts, now you're drawing from your rough. You have a rough page, and then you have to turn it into a clean, pretty page, So for example, here's what a rough layout looks like. I've got the word balloons, I got the text. Now I wrote this story, so the actual text is written right into it. But I need to see that because I need to know, if the letters are this big, how much space do I need to leave there for when I draw these characters in this panel? You know what I'm saying? And it's very rough and messy because it's for me. I know what I'm just referencing it for myself. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I would, to do a nice, it depends on the details. Do you have a cityscape? Is it just a couple people talking in a room? I just can't. Sorry, the music is too loud. I feel like I'm competing. So to try to answer your question, it's anywhere from maybe 2 hours to 3 hours, roughly. I mean, I'm being kind of, I don't know, general about that. The inking is the fun part, I'll tell you that, though. All right, wow, we're getting a bunch of comments here, so let me jump on here. Chief Moody's here. Welcome, Chief. Good to have you on the show. There are archetypes. Woodlander's saying there are archetypes that run through most Western mythology: the sage, the young hero. This is a really good point. Archetypes could be a good subject for a show. Evening Troops, good to have you. Donald, what's the best starting off point when creating a comic? Do you start off with writing down notes, or do you go straight into it? This is the $1 million question. This is a very, very, very good question. So I would say the true starting point for me is there's something happening in the world that, or in your personal life, that is, extremely all encompassing and inspiring and troubling, and it's a part of your world that, you know it's everything to you. It means a lot, and so you are compelled to tell it in story form. And so that's where it starts. Then you have to kind of break it down into sort of the symbolism of the story. So, I'm going to create a certain character that represents this particular problem or this particular type of person, and and then I'm going to put this character through these problems, or this trauma, or this something. And then, in order to convey the story properly, I'm gonna need a villain, or I'm gonna need a blah 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 blah. There's all kinds of tropes and various storytelling structures that you reference and use. I would say try to think of it kind of like, let's say you were watching a movie, and you sit down in the theater and the movie starts, and then, what does it look like? What happens? What is the intro? What's the inciting incident that draws people in and makes them care about the topic or the characters? And what kind of references are you making to various things in culture, pop culture, politics, history, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. So there's essentially two approaches. There's character based and there's story based. So I know that that's not quite the technical term they use, but like character based stories are, John Wick, the kind of thing where it's like something happens to somebody and then they have to go on a journey or something. There's this funny, because this plugs right into what Woodlander was saying about archetypes. And then in the end of the story, there's generally two endings. One is, everything returns to the status quo. The problem is solved, and we go back to the Shire. You know what I mean? Or the other one is some like traumatic, gigantic situation happened, and things will never be the same. And now there's the new world that, is born out of it, whatever that might be. Which is a lot about character development and change. How does a character change over a story arc? What has to happen to a character? Look at, there's probably millions of characters you could reference, and I'm only thinking of this because it's the only thing that can come to my mind at the moment, but the sort of Darth Vader, Anakin, the boy slave, his mother is enslaved and killed, and the Jedi, and the da 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 da. All of that gigantic story arc that led up to him becoming Darth Vader. So. Yeah, I mean, it's a big topic. It's very exciting. I'm really in love with it, actually, the whole process. And I could probably talk for hours about it, but let me check the other. SB70R PM 3D. Nice to have you. Mixed media art is something I never got serious into attempting, discouraged by building up the necessary collection of pens of different tips and hues, but you can't just obtain that in one swoop. Yeah, you bring up an interesting point, because when you're learning art, shit, I just dropped something. When you're learning arts, you're making an investment in time and materials, and some of these art supplies are not cheap. So you're thinking, well, if I'm going to buy oil paints, for example, I'd better be a damn good oil painter, because this shit's not cheap, and I want to sell these paintings, something. So I'm hearing you. I think that it's a type of a thing where I wouldn't encourage people to like sort of bite off more than you can chew, kind of, but to rather try simple approaches to things. So try doing some monochromatic art where it's just black, white, and red, you know, or black, white, and blue, or black, white, and green. And so it's more simplified in that regard. And then you get comfortable with the materials, and then you can expand from there. You know what I'm saying? See, that's a topic. And yeah, Chief Moody says evening Woodlander. SB says my takeaway from it is you never stop collecting various pens, ever. Possibly you could inherit the toolbox, but a capable collection seems advantageous. Yeah, I went into, you know, at some point I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get into these into Copic markers, and these are like $7 each. You know what I'm saying? And they dry out fairly quickly. You know, you run out, and then you gotta go buy another one. And but like the effect of the of Copic markers is gorgeous. It just has a rich painterly quality to it that is marvelous. And now, granted, I could do all that with a paintbrush and some ink, you know, and just water down the ink and do it like so, which I actually have done it like that for years. But I thought, you know, let's do this because it should be more convenient. So then you have the question of like price versus convenience, you know. It's not watercolor. It doesn't behave in that kind of watery, mysterious way that watercolor behaves. It's more graphic. You can control it a lot easier. So that's a thing, you know. Anyway, I am also wondering if I should put on different music. But let's see what we got going on in the chat. I'm taking so many breaks to check the chat. The do you computer generator master and Autodesk rendering? Yes. Then there's the price of software. The luxury of it has driven me entirely away from paper. PSP is a Paint Shop Pro. Did graphic design before it was a thing. Da, da, da. So I actually bought a laptop that is specifically designed for doing computer generated art, you know, with like, you get what I'm saying. So like a touch screen scenario. And I hated it. So I was like, shit, I spent all this money on this expensive laptop, and now I kind of wish I had a Mac, and my next computer will be a Mac. Just because I'm not going to go down that road. But anyway, I don't know. I need the organic feeling. It's a whole other process. I can do digital art. You know, I've done tons of it as a freelancer. But I don't. I mean, to me, this is about a process. It's like, oh God, how can I describe it? I mean, it's sort of. It just kind of takes all the fun out of it for me. I can't. I need to feel the materials in my hand. You know, I need to feel that. And if I can't like physically experience this medium, then it just is weird to me. So, but I'm the guy missing out, though. You know, I've seen that the software out there these days is so good at faking organic art that you never know. You know, I was talking years ago. I was talking to Graham Nolan, who's a comics guy in Comicsgate, and probably just online. You know, like asking him questions about how he does his art. Da, da. And I was shocked at like how how he could fake the look of like charcoal and stuff with this software, you know. I don't know. I think maybe someday I'll invest in it and I'll go that way because I think it's just so much more streamlined than doing what I do, you know. I guess maybe we'll get to that. What time is it here? Okay. Yeah. But back to the question about stories and such. Yeah, I can kind of wax philosophic on this topic a bit because I feel like self is story, and everything has a kind of a beginning, middle, and end. And you know, our own lives are our stories, and there's this kind of, I don't know what to call it, but it's sort of the, you know, what is the mythology of your life? How are you the hero of your story, and all this kind of stuff. And you know, why are our films so popular and all of this stuff? Because we're kind of seeking to have a surrogate like mythological experience, I think. Granted, there's a lot of stuff that's just dumb entertainment or whatever. That's kind of killing your time essentially. But yeah, I think there's something more to it. You know, like why is film so popular? What is, you know, used to be, of course, literature was the big thing for so long, you know, and theater, you know. And film happened. It's like video killed the radio star, you know. This is a great song. But what else? Yeah, film is like magical in its own regard, you know, in the way that it creates this fake reality that, you know, you can get very deeply pulled into, you know. Now, why comics though? What's the deal? Well, like I say, I'm a frustrated filmmaker, and this is just films on paper, you know. But it's more than that. I grew up with comics. I've always tried to get people out of the stigma of comics, this like outdated notion that comics are for kids, and that's a very foolish mentality. I think we're past that as a culture. I don't really think that's such a big thing anymore. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe, now it's like comics are for nerds. You know, like that's the new stigma. You know, but doesn't need to be anyway. Then that's the whole thing about superheroes. Why superheroes? Why not make a sci-fi story or a detective story or something that's like rooted in, maybe something more rooted in reality? You know. Well, I get enough reality every day, you know. Why do I want more of it, you know? That's part of the joy of this, is that it's super real, it's beyond real. You can do so much more with superheroes. And my take is that superheroes are modern mythology. At least that's how I like to look at them. Granted, I'm not, you know, pretty angry at Marvel right now, so it's not like I'm, you know, you get the idea. Like, you know, Marvel's pretty much shit at the moment, so it sucks. But it wasn't like that when I grew up. So what else you guys chatting about? There's It still feels like a quasi art in comparison to actual handwork, which it is. That's a heavy topic. Not, I don't know, so heavy, but like, is digital art authentically art or something like that? You could. I'm gonna have to say yes, but I am more of a traditionalist, so whatever. Um, it's essentially a tool. It's just another tool. Um, it's interesting how, well, not entirely, but that it's as a tool. It's trying to copy reality. It's trying to, you have all these different types of brushes, and you know, uh, it's always trying to fake reality, and that the look of things. But then it can be, of course, there's things you can do on a computer that would be very, very hard to do with organic materials, and so it has like this great advantage. I think the convenience of it alone is just enormous. It's an enormous advantage. I don't know. I just can't let go of my traditions here. The other kind of nice thing is that, let's say, like, I'm going to sell the pages of this comic book to help fund the coloring of the book. And with digital art, you can print copies, but there's no original, and therefore there's no value. You know what I mean? Because it's like, this is the only one of its kind, and you know. But with a computer image, you can just draw, or rather, you can print off infinitely. So I think maybe that's a tiny advantage. I'm not so sure it's tiny, but it's a small advantage that organic traditional art has over digital art. Um, I'm just curious, would you any of you guys want to buy any of the pages that are, I think that'd be a fun novelty to have. My thinking is that I have to get the book out first. I gotta let people read the story, and then get invested in the characters and the story. Of course, I already know what the story is, but I feel like it's not until the public actually reads the story that they're gonna know what's really going on. And like the first issue, there's about 5 issues in this, so all it really does is just sets up the stage, of the story, like any movie would do. Let's see. Woodland graphic design. SB says there is no back button, but by hand. The hurdle for Photoshop stuff is learning the interface. Then it's simply blending and da da da. Feels like a quasi art. There's some good commentary on comic book art in the Kuwait comic book style film Unbreakable. Yeah, I really like that film. That's a great film. That's when I liked M. Night Shyamalan. Anyway, Sadie's here. Woo! I've got an issue of them turning a European god into a superhero. I would like to learn more about that. Sounds interesting. I'm constantly amazed at what can be achieved, says Woodlander. Comfort, convenience, both have led us to where we are, yeah. But who doesn't want both, yeah. I blame modernity for quite a lot of our downfall. Oh, Thor. Well, of course, Thor. Actually, I mean, it's more than just Thor. There's a lot of characters from Norse mythology in the Thor world, if you will. So whatever. Moving on. Onward and upward. I'm going to pull this down for you so you can see better. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to be on the Discordant Dragon show at 6 tonight. It's one of these days, like I have the day off, and like I've got grocery shopping and laundry and just dumb adulting things you gotta do. But I'm like so not in the mood today. I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. You know, I wanna do some art. I wanna relax. You know, I figure like your first day off on your weekend, you should probably do nothing. You know what I mean? Unless there's like something you really got to get to. You know. Fortunately, I don't have that right now. I had some business related things this morning that are just whatever, but yeah, I'm like, yeah, I need to get on the table here. Like, I'm really, you know, I do a lot of art streams, so I've become, like, I don't know what the word is, but like, you know, I'm back in the zone, I guess. Especially with comics. Comics are very challenging, you know, to be honest. It's not the easiest art form. Um, and you kind of, there's a lot of perseverance involved, a lot of focus, which is kind of why I screw up sometimes when I'm talking, or like I can't remember something because I'm half of my mind is on the paper. You know? So I'm just making that excuse for, so I don't look dumb. Anyway, so this character is called Golden Heart, and he's got a kind of a, he shoots a beam of light from his chest that, you know, he has different sort of beams that he can project. But one of the effects of this light that he projects is that he can pacify people. He can kind of calm them down, make them a little sleepy and just maybe a little bit confused or something. But it just, you know, it's an, nobody's ever thought about this as like a weapon. It's like making people peaceful instead of like, says like, I'm gonna punch you across the sky. You know, well, what if I had a superpower to calm people down? You know, I sort of kind of have that superpower a little bit, and I mean, I've had to have it. I feel like in life, there's a lot of times where you're with people and there's conflicts brewing, and you're like, you really just wish people would chill the fuck out, you know, and like calm down. Let's like not be irrational and crazy. Instead, let's actually act like rational adults, you know. I mean, I know that's a lot to ask for, but so I thought, there you go, that'd be a pretty cool power. And but here, like, so here you go, like with this character, he's meant to represent goodness, you know, that he's, and like he's in a team of essentially bad guys that are pretending to be good. And he doesn't get it. He still kind of believes in the system and trusts the government and all that kind of mentality. He's kind of a Boy Scout mentally, you know? He's just like, follow the rules and, you know, like that, like trust in your leaders, that kind of thinking. Not realizing that like the people that he's been teamed up with are just like grifters and in some cases foreign spies, and they're very very anti-white, like for different reasons. The Muslims, of course, have their own agenda, you know, and then the one of the black characters, he's just really flat out racist. The other black character is not, although he's more of a tough guy. But and then there's a mulatto character who is more of like a good guy, like an actual hero. There's a Chinese spy in the group. Carlo's here. Love this channel. Keep up the courage. You know, I love that you guys like this channel because I always think like, yeah, I'm just drawing and talking, you know. To me, the value of this channel are the other shows, the Equal Training show and the live Patriot Art show. Otherwise, it's just silly old me, hanging out, doing my stuff. I've got a very major art announcement to make soon, but I'm still waiting for confirmation from the client. I'm not, yeah, it's sort of like a can't talk about it scenario, but anxious to talk about it, Anyway. So, like there's all this space in here and I'm not drawing a background because there's just going to be word balloons here. There's no sense in putting all the time into it, Hollandier says it wouldn't, I guess I missed the question. Sadie says, imagine Allah as a superhero, it wouldn't fly. Ooh, that's, I think that, you defend somebody by doing that, That really brings up kind of an interesting question too, because it's sort of like, well, is it inappropriate to have Thor as a superhero? Like, if this is a genuine god of the Norse people, I mean, think of Jesus Christ as a superhero. How would people go for that? You see where I'm going with this conversation? So like, but since it's sort of relegated to mythology. And I'm not saying this, I don't mean any offense, of course, to my Asatru friends. I have a lot of love and respect for those guys. But you can kind of see how tricky this is as a topic. And I wouldn't get me started on the topic of Islam either. I'll definitely have this channel shut down if I talk honestly about that. You can't be honest. Ooh, don't be honest. No, gotta lie. Make sure you lie for the camera. It's the world we live in. I didn't get the memo. I'm missing that gene that people have to like just live a lie. That special survival instinct of like, well, shit, don't talk about these things. The old expression like, what is it? Don't talk about religion or politics. And I'm like, those are the two most important things you should talk about. Kind of fucking stupid, like, advice is that? Jeez. It's that mentality of like, I mean, social harmony is important. I'm not knocking that, but anyway, moving on. The Patriot Art Show is very good. Thank you. I'm really glad you like it. Gents, lady, I must go. Cheers and thank you. All right, God bless you, Woodlander. Stay safe, be cool, and we'll see you next time. It's great to have you here. Cozy Art channel. I'm trying to think what else I can talk about. There's something that came up. This is sort of a delicate topic, so I have to... Oh, here you go. I guess I'm learning something about my own thoughts on what can and can't be talked about. Within the movement, there is the topic of infighting, and I'm extremely anti-infighting. I think you guys know that. Now, I know the arguments in terms of like, yeah, but this guy's a gatekeeper, or this is harmful to us, or XYZ PDQ. So I do know those things, but the approach that I'm taking, excuse me, is more of like, this is a multi-front war, and whoever, if X group is over there working on X, then let them do that. That's going to be their domain. That's their front that they're fighting on. And instead of wasting our energy, time, etc., on debating with them, if you don't agree with them, just go off and do your own thing, which is, a lot of the your own thing is the naming crowd, the noticing crowd. But I'd say even past that, there's other aspects like the show I'm doing against critical race theory. That's a whole area that's like a field of information that is relative to our cause, and so we're trying to give people the tools to defeat that, and it's obviously a large topic, right? So, and White Student T is really leading on that. It's basically it's his book, right? So, but you see how that's just a different front to fight on. That's a different area of attention. So I don't know. I mean, because I feel like a lot of the folks in our movement are, how do I say, like the kind of people that don't take any shit. Like they know they're seasoned in like fighting on the internet. Like they know their shit for beginners, and then secondly, they don't take no shit. Kind of, you know what I mean. So like there's a kind of a, I'm not saying like it's a personality type, but it's a culture almost of like, just calling it out, saying the truth, shit lording, on and on, and I think amongst ourselves it's kind of fun or whatever, but you also have to take into consideration, well, like, is this helping or hurting? Like, is this person ready for this information? What kind of, am I talking to, like a hyper emotional person or someone who follows data and like wants, so like on Instagram I posted something about the what do you call it, Jeffrey Epstein and all that da da da, and pointing out how Mossad is behind the operation to get politicians, movie stars, etc., to do the heinous things that they do, and they film these things, and then they have these people under their thumb, blah blah blah. And I guess that's not understood among everybody. There's still a kind of the sort of the Republican normies, Republican normies. I think I just coined that phrase. Holy shit! I better trademark that right away. How they just want so hard to not associate everything with the Jews, and I get that instinct, I really do, and they look at us like, oh, you're obsessed with it, da, 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 and like not everything, and da, 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 da. And it's like, dude, it's just about facts, everything is just about facts. It's not like, this isn't a fucking football game. You know what I mean? And so like a bunch of other smart people came in on the topic and just were giving the guy, you know, how do I say? They were schooling him. They're saying like, okay, you're oversimplifying this situation. This is how A B C D F G talk something something. So I thought, I don't need to go back in there and try to fight with this guy. I'm going to let these other people do it for me. Which is another, that's like the black belt level of like shit lording, is like, there's plenty of other people that can come in there and do that. So let's read some comments. Every channel I follow has talk in code when it comes to politics, right? Certain medical opinions and the climate, right. I actually just got a video. I don't know if they took it down. I think they might have taken it down because there was some discussion about medical things going back. Wow, you guys are just talking up a storm. I'm missing out on the fun. When the flight is Patriot Art. I don't punch right. Yeah, our enemies will never criticize their own, so neither will I. Ha! Interesting point. Wow, every single time. Damn. Damn. Sadie for president. Holy crow. That was a good call right there, Sadie. Um, and it's interesting that it points out like the kind of the differences between us too, like how they're basically just a gigantic cult, and that it's all about following whatever the programming is, whatever they say you're supposed to support. That's the NPC meme right there, and not questioning it and cannibalizing their own who disagree with it. I find like this the war in Israel right now is very, what's the word? How do I phrase this? It's testing some interesting boundaries with the left because of course I'll just say the Zionists. The Zionists are very much in charge of the left, right? They've essentially created the left. The ultimate truth of leftism is ultimately, Marxism. So when their own soldiers are like anti-Israel, then they're like, oh shit, what do we do now? And you getting what I'm saying about that? So it's been really interesting watching how the Zionists are just like fumbling for the TV control to kind of like get everybody back on message. And one of the major posts that I shared on Twitter, just like, I don't know, yesterday or something, was I think it's racial consciousness or the Western chauvinist. I forget which guy it is, but he's essentially saying that like what's happening now is that the Zionists are now trying to infiltrate the dissident right. That they themselves are posting anti-Jewish content online to try to affiliate and look like they're part of us. And that's the usual, we're very used to that, right? But not to the point where they're part of the dissident right, or part of the white identity movement. That's something new, but it's just it just shows you the lengths to which this thing goes, and if you read the quote, you'll see it. And people responded to it saying like, I'm already seeing that in specific white positive communities. And that's where I had to kind of step in a little bit and say, look, we cannot let them make us fight each other. You see what I'm saying? Like that's we have to be really on guard for that. And I mean, because frankly, we already are divided in many ways. You've got, I don't know, this crowd and that crowd. I don't. You guys know the names. I don't really have to repeat that. And all I'm about is winning. Is us winning as a people. And I appreciate everybody and anybody, even non-whites, who are doing anything to, help our cause. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I've often said like we're not taking advantage of allies, or the elephant in the room is we don't know how to interact or work with allies. So, for example, there was a big parade. I saw like the clip online of all these Native Americans dancing in their beautiful regalia on the streets, and it was like a pro-Palestine parade. And so you can see the connection there with like independence, sovereignty, nationalism, what have you, ethnic identity, something. And so like that makes sense. Like, I mean, to some logic, right? That like that Native Americans would support Palestine in this issue, but that shows the Zionist powers that be like, oh, you just lost control of that community. Because so far you've been pushing CRT into their mouths. I mean, like, oh yeah, let's get reparations from Whitey, with all our fancy rules for radicals bullshit, You see where I'm going. I think it's an interesting time. It's a really interesting time. Um, let's see. Yeah. So always checking the chats here. And then you had another one of those blood tribe marches. To the best of my knowledge, the blood tribe is a fed op. Like, and I'm you know me, I'm like, watch what you say about that. Like, don't throw everybody under the bus, because, like, for example, Patriot Front is totally not a fed op. You know, like, and conservatards love to say that because they just can't wrap their head around that there's real nationalists out there, real American nationalists, and that they're the good guys, you know. But as far as the blood tribe, the knowledge that or rather not the knowledge, the information that I've gotten on that is that it's fishy. So if you guys have any information on that, I'd like to know. And what would be really good to know too is essentially like, how do these guys get sucked in? You know, how do they become like technically Fed operatives? Because, you know, and, you know, you're sure that like a bunch of these guys have some kind of criminal record and they were offered like a plea deal. You know, oh, if you do this work for us, then, you know, we'll let you off the hook. This is very dirty, very sick kind of shit. Just don't have a fucking criminal record. Don't do anything illegal, dummy. Not hard to do. Anyway, talk about bad optics too. Like, fuck, that dude with the tattoos all over his face. Yeah, there you go. That's inspiring. And I mean, we as like a movement, I think our first impulse is to be like, yeah, right on, you know. But it's, you know, that's easy to psyop us, I think, with that kind of attitude. That's like when Vivek Ramaswamy, I think his name, when he's like talking, you know, he's trying to run for the Republican candidate for president. And he's a total scumbag. He's a complete World Economic Forum plant. His law degree was paid for by George Soros. Not only that, he engaged in a really heinous, I don't know what you even call these, like white collar crime, where he bought some drug for Alzheimer's that failed the medical test, and went out and renamed it and repackaged it, and then tried to sell it again, and then, you know, this is how these people make millions of dollars. You know, they do this not like they're sociopaths. They don't have any sense whatsoever that like they're hurting people. You know, oh, but let's watch out for Nazis. Those are the bad guys. Yeah, meanwhile, this fuck is like, you know, making millions off of a fake medicine that all these elderly people are taking. Like, fuck, man, fuck that. I'm so sickened by how our government is against our own people. You know, and it's not a new thing, I know, but it's just so sickening. You know, and it's just harsh, you know. And I'm not saying, you know, Vivek is our government, you know, but like if you look at just the whole layout of everything, like it's just upside down world, you know. So Hollander says they are tickling a desperation within many of our people, yes, which is despicable of them, and very sad that many of ours and that desperate are that desperate for anything, even blood riot or whatever. Yeah, blood tribe is what they're called. Yeah, I mean, we're the underground. We're, you know, we know the true depth of like everything that's going on, and how profoundly terrible it is, you know. So any tiny victory is like, oh, let's all get behind it, but you know, it's not that way. You gotta be careful. Yeah. So what else? What else is going on? I tell you, poor what's his name? Ben Shapiro is just his therapy bills must be going through the roof, you know. And then that's the whole question about like Candace Owens and her reaction. Like I'm digging what she's saying, you know. I think I know she's a grifter, you know. I know. But like I'm kind of holding out some hope for her, you know. I'm kind of, I don't know if I should say this. This might not be a good thing to talk about, but like I'm a little bit like, about Richard Spencer switching his views on Joe Biden. I mean, I was when he first supported Joe Biden. Like, how could you do this? Like, why do you even? How do you do a total 360 like that? You know. So anyway, whatever. I'll leave that alone. But anyway, hey, even a grifter can do something advantageous to us, whether intentionally or not. Yeah. And like, how do I put this? Like, okay, so like there was what really changed my mind about her, because I've liked her for a long time, but she had an interview with Trump, and in the interview, she very awkwardly said something to the effect of like, you know, I could be your vice president. And I was like, whoa, talk about like using this interview to try to grift off of the president. I was like, just to be able to be in a position to interview the president is a pretty huge thing. You got to know people, something. But then when she said that, and his look was like, what? You know, like whoa, you know, that was just like totally inappropriate to try to drop that into the conversation. But regardless of that stuff, I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not, but I just do get the impression that she is sincere about some things. And one thing I was impressed with her is there's a great photo of her and Kanye, and they're wearing these jackets that Kanye designed that say "White Lives Matter," like huge on the back. And granted, that's a type of grifting. That's a type of like, we're you know, whatever is not allowed. If you do it, then you get attention. You know, it just, I think every high school kid knows that, right? You know what I'm saying? So I don't look at it as like, wow, she's the new savior of the white. You know, it's not like that. But I don't know, kind of keeping my mind open. Sadie says Spencer is a spent political force. Many such cases. SB says Michael Rappaport is melting down daily. Oh man, I can imagine. He's seething over all total spectacle. That's I'll have to check that out. I had Richard on Imperium Art, and I've always been a great admirer of his for what he has done in the past. And then I have my own theory about why he changed, and I don't know if it's true or not, but it's my theory that after what's it called? After Charlottesville, he was paid a visit and told, you know, if you don't change your tune, then XYZ PDQ, fill in the blank. And I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. Because I, for one, can't believe that you can go from being the freaking voice of the entire, you know, white movement to like yeah, I'm a pro-Biden Democrat. Look, I got vaccinated. Like, you just don't do that. You just can't do that. That doesn't make any sense at all. And of course, we know Charlottesville was a very, how do I say, like, what's the word for this? A type of psyop, I guess. We were too trusting to just openly advertise, like, yes, we're going to do this, unite the right, and it's going to be beautiful and it's wonderful, fun, cool, like that whole mentality, pardon me, that whole attitude we had in the Trump time of like joy and like hope for the future and all this good stuff, da da da. Well, turns out that the governor and the mayor got together and came up with a strategy to militarize the police. Once again, the can you trust law enforcement when they're doing this shit? And they what do? They put fencing all around the park where they were the Unite the Right was meeting, and they and then they were surrounded around that with militarized police. And they're not just normal police. They're in like riot gear, which I guess you would expect for an event of this kind. But on the other end of the park, there is the Antifa all piled up, in one corner, and so the police essentially filed everyone from the event into, like, they bottlenecked them right into the street where all the Antifa were, which was, I mean, in itself a criminal act. Think about it. If there's two people protesting, and one especially is known for being violent, which of course is Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and then you physically force the peaceful protesters into that other crowd, and then the police do it. It's like, that is not an accident. Like, that's the opposite of what police would or should do, right? You'd think like they would want to avoid conflict and violence, right? No, 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 no. That's not how it works. They're weaponized. They're a tool. And like, that's why I question these people. I'm like, if it's just like, oh, we just do what we're told, well, what fucking good are you? What fucking good are you? If you don't have the people's interest first, and law and order first, and you just do what you're told, you're really a criminal in a blue suit. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't have, I support law enforcement, but I don't support those guys that did that. That's you gotta wonder if there are, like, I don't know what to call them, like secret police kind of almost, or like, cops that are like, ideologically aligned with the left, and you got to imagine these are the same cops that are looking the other way during like human trafficking and shit, or even making money from it, because this just doesn't happen out of nowhere. There's a lot of people involved in those type of activities, a lot of resources. So I don't want to kind of like I'm not like bash all cops or whatever. I'm not trying to say that, but it's upsetting. So anyway, but do you see my point though? I mean, pretty rough. Yeah, it's a very scary situation. And he did. Richard Spencer had some like press meetings afterwards, where he was trying to talk about what's going on. But I think, I don't know. My thinking is that the globalists had to put the kibosh on that. They had to do something to shut that down. And then if you're the guy who's in charge of the whole show, they're going to go after you, right? So that's why I'm thinking this makes no sense. Like, you just don't go from like doing AMREN conferences to being like, Joe Biden. So I'll stop there. It's my theory, but I'm sticking to it. I would love to see a Richard Spencer comeback. I really would. Um, and that's all I gotta say. What else has happened here? Autumn Groiper, Nick is legit too. Spencer got the call. Yeah, we sadly can never trust the institutions of our adversaries. Correct. I do have a problem with Fuentes. I really think he's. Okay. This is either like a millennial cultural humor that I don't get, or he is like a closet homosexual, because he's the shit that he says. You guys might have seen these clips, are very disgusting. And like, I know that, like, whatever, like, you're gay, those kind of jokes are very juvenile, and it's very common among, younger people to make those kind of shitty jokes. But I'm kind of like, how can you be Catholic and be talking like that? Because you're all about Jesus and Jesus and Jesus, and now you're like saying really, really weird, vulgar, creepy things. So now, other than that, he's done great work for the movement. So like, I don't know where to, I don't know where to go with it. I'm like, when you see these clips, like the Catboy Cammy thing, like, I don't even want to talk about it because it disgusts me, it grosses me out, it freaks me out. So like, I'm like not into it. But I'm always like, give credit where credit's due. So everything other than that, I appreciate. And that whole topic, it opens up a can of worms, because then you've got the anti-Groiper crowd within our movement. And I'm like, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to like do an infighting thing with you guys, like, it's really just like, let's counter blessings, I guess. I don't know. And I'm not even like the sort of like, I'm not technically like a Christian nationalist or something, but I support Christian nationalism. And I think Christians have to become nationalists, otherwise they're done. I think it's not gonna last. It's not gonna work. And Christianity is obviously on the chopping block, with the left and communism and Judaism and all that. So it's not like a big surprise to say that. But like I said on a previous show, I don't even consider Nick dissident right, because nobody in the dissident right has the reach that he has, or the money that he has. That's so awful. Like, you don't get to meet with the president if you're in the dissident right. It's like, you're not making millions of dollars in donations, or and I don't know how much money he makes or whatever, but like, you see what I mean? That's a difference between, say, like the white identity movement versus the dissident right. So, because what's her face? Because Candace Owens wore a White Lives Matter jacket. Is she part of the white identity movement? No, but I appreciate that she did that. You know what I mean? It counts. People don't understand like the depth of our problems. Like, if you watch Equal Training, the new show that I'm doing, and you realize that this is literally baked right into our legal system now, that we are, in a sense, like, not in a sense, we're literally legally oppressed in our own fucking countries. This is so heavy and so serious, that like, that's part of why I'm like, we have to figure out how to get out of this. We have to work together in some way. So I'm, kind of open-minded about it, I guess, in that way. Greetings from Colin. Colin's here. Good to have you, bro. GDL did a gay spoof too on Yes, yes. Um, Calling the greetings across the pond. Christ is King is popping off on X. True, very true. The Kanye thing alone was highly suspect with Milo. Oh God, see, there you go. See, as soon as I saw Milo on the on the team, I was like, nope, 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 not gonna happen, not gonna work. I'm like, of all freaking people, and he's like, he dyed his hair. It was like dark, and he had this like fashy hairstyle. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. This is like, oh, I'm Catholic now. Right, 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 right. This is that's you see just how disgusting the whole thing is. It's like, oh, I just changed my religion so that I can be popular now, and like have influence. What the fuck, man? Get the fuck out of here. Very creepy dude. But I mean, in keeping with what I was just saying, it's like, well, did he do something for us? Did he help us? Is there what? Or is it just all psyop? Is it just one of those like, you come to trust them in like 2017, thinking like, wow, yeah, okay, he's gay, but he's having an impact culturally, politically, something, and then like he gets weirder and weirder and weirder, and then you're like, yeah, this isn't what we're about. It's like what's his face? Geez, you know how I am when I get like this. I'm drawing, I forget names. The Scottish guy, Gavin McGuinness. Like his. I don't know. I don't even know if I need to even go there. All that stuff is just so old now. Like those guys had their time and whatever. Now it's Lucas Gage. It's his time. And even him, I was commenting on Twitter about it. Like I follow him very, very closely, and I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. But what my statement or my point was about him is that he's still kind of naive, and he's going through the stages and phases that many of us went through already. He's always looking for that exception, or that one situation that's gonna make it all okay, and but like, only as far as what is observable, it's really only like whites that are enlightened to our cause that have the right kind of intentions. And there's always this desire to like make it not racial. But then what we've discovered through being around in this movement for so long is that it fucking is. And like, no matter how hard you try to deny that, our enemies are totally racial. They hate us for who we are. They envy us for who we are. And then there's so much hidden from us. It's such a taboo topic that people barely even understand, like the meaning of genetics, the meaning of our being, of who we are, why we're here. What's our destiny? It's profound stuff. Some of it is very esoteric. This is a perfect face for what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's read. I got some talkie. Highly suspect. Sadie says, I never understood Milo and Loomer being accepted as right. I don't know a ton about. Oh, Laura Loomer. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Sadie says, or no, Carlos says, infiltrators controlled opposition. Yeah, as always. That's a bingo. Yeah. Who was the Australian guy that tore Avi from Rabbi Media a new one? I don't follow Australian news as much as I should. I'm a fan and a follower of Joel Davis. He's like my main resource as far as like anything to do with Australia. But and he does talk about Australia, whatever. So this character here that I'm illustrating, Golden Heart, he's like the only white guy on the new MAGA Force team. And again, a kind of Boy Scout, naive type person. And he's stopping the other teammates from fighting on set while they were trying to film a commercial to promote the new MAGA Force. And the main boss here is sort of saying, like, I can't control what you do in your private lives, but while you're on the clock, I'm paying for you, and you will do what I tell you to do, like that kind of thing. And then Goldenheart is saying, you're insulting the memory of the former MAGA Force that were killed. And then there's a kind of a close-up of his face of him angry about their chimping out and behaving this way, because like he takes MAGA Force very seriously. Like I said, he still believes in it, and he hasn't figured out yet that MAGA Force is controlled opposition and that he's being used. So he's kind of like, him and Militiaman are very similar in that regard, only Militiaman goes through hell. Goes through some very terrible experiences that change him. Do I sound like I'm talking about myself? All right. Let's see. We got a couple interesting comments here. Some characters appear to be generic, especially when it comes to mentality and state of mind. My characters? Is that what you're referring to? One of the better, lesser known net podcasts, Power and Principalities, and Our Interesting Times with Tim Kelly and Joe Atwill. I have heard of them, but there's only so many hours in a day, but I appreciate you posting that. Sadie says, if you want the truth, buy Mel Gibson a beer. Nice. When is his movie coming out? Come on, Mel. Rothschilds, right? I think JF is legit. I agree, too. He's paid a price for the political stance. Yeah, JF has posted some. So now, even JF is like, he's very black-pilled. He's extremely, like, critical and, like, proof-based, like, super scientific mentality, right? And for him to be saying, like, look, wow, man, the Jews are losing their minds right now. They're losing control of the narrative. And I'm like, see, that gives me confidence when I hear people like him saying things like that. Because it's you always have to be afraid, or not afraid, but like careful that you're not in a kind of a political echo chamber. If you follow people that are all just like you and they're all saying the same thing, then it gives you the impression that, like, oh, this is what's going on in the world. But actually, it's not quite that, not that quite easy. So you have to kind of test your own boundaries on what's really going on out there. I was actually on JF's show many years ago. Not many years ago, but like I was doing a comic book with another well-known figure in the dissident right. And that guy was a more high-end person in the scene, and so he was able to pull some strings and get us on the show. But Jeff was like poo-pooed comics. He's like, I don't know, I think comics are just like an adolescent thing. And I'm like, wow, why did you have us on the show and then like diss us? What was the point of that? Duh, like, I mean, well, I was just like, okay, well, let me correct you, JF, and explain to you why this is not for kids and some shit. So that's kind of that's my little, what do you call it, my axe to grind. It's no big deal. Anyway, I'm gonna read some comments here, gang. I'm not doing enough art. I'm just reading comments. Always does a chalk exactly nice pen color. No, in different races. I get your point, Colin. Okay, Sadie. I agree. JF is not flawless, but he's genuine. Yes. The public space. I'll be honest with you. His accent is really hard to listen to. I'm sorry. Like, I have another French friend who his English is really really good, but it's I think it's extremely hard for French people to speak English in like without a very very thick accent. I guess it's just the nature of it. I don't know, but JF's accent is just a little too harsh for my ears. And it's not even so much the accent; it's like the cadence of it is. It's just off. It's weird. It's like that's not where the what is it called? Like, what's it called? Like the accent falls on this syllable on this word or what have you. But I mean that's a stupid picky thing to say. The dude's fucking like if I spoke French as well he speaks English, then maybe I could complain. But if he and I want to have like a Mandarin contest, then I'll definitely whip his ass. And I appreciate him. Like, what would be great though is if somebody could get the guy to laugh. Like I've never seen him laugh. Does he? He just seems pretty. I don't know. He's in a darker place, I guess. Maybe not. Is it a French thing? Is it different? Oh my God. Oh God. Don't go there. I'm kind of teasing a little bit. I admire him a lot. And there's not a lot of genuine people on our side, so we gotta keep them. Rams Paul is legit. Yeah, I like Rams Paul. It's funny because he's sort of slightly. He's not a boomer, but like he has that kind of boomerish sense of humor and stuff. Like, I'm not criticizing. I'm not knocking the guy when I say these things. I guess he's just safer. You know what I mean? That's probably the thing I'm trying to say. Is like he's got a funny a great sense of humor, and he's able to kind of frame politics in such a way that is, I think, probably much more palatable for normies, frankly. So that's actually a good thing. I have to try to be more like that. I think I would say that I need to be more palatable. Do you guys, how on the palatable scale, how for normies, not for far right people, but how palatable am I? 1 to 10. 10 being totally appropriate for mainstream TV, and 0 being like HH 1488. So he laughs uncontrollably. Sometimes it's awesome. That's pretty funny. Now, what's next? There's a specific brush I'm looking for. I found it. Here's another good brush. These are sweet. These guys right here, these are real sweet. If you can see that. They're just freaking lovely, you know. There's a lot of comics artists that are really, really good with these. I should maybe try my hand at it. Like right now, I'm just doing inking, but they don't pencil at all. They just paint with this brush, and they do beautiful illustrations with. Yeah, you got to see it to believe it, basically. I'm an 8. Carlos says I'm an 8. That's nice. That feels good. I think if I just don't swear, I could, like, I know how to handle myself, you know. But it's funny, like I did, okay, the show, what's it called? The Equal Training Show. We're trying to make it so that it could be aired, or rather that like teachers and professors and students can listen to it. And I don't mean like elementary school. I'm talking, you know, older. But anyway, and like there was a time in one of the shows where I was like, I said shit or something, and oh, I'm sorry, pardon my language, I mean stuff, you know, like that. And then a little, like I listened to one of the playbacks, and there was like a moment where I just unconsciously said "fuck yeah," you know, like that. I was like, don't do that, you know. It's actually kind of hard for me to not swear, you know. I think swearing's healthy, you know. I think it blows off steam, you know. Maybe I'm just a bad person. Perhaps that's what it is. I don't know. Oh yeah, Murdoch. Yes, that's good stuff. I had Tim Murdoch on my show as well, and massive fan of Tim Murdoch. Like that dude's for real. So he came on Imperium Art. Actually, he also was on the fundraiser for me when my mom died, and that was deeply, deeply appreciated of him to do that. But I played his anti-racist Hitler cartoon on Imperium Art, and that's one of the greatest accomplishments in the dissident right, that cartoon, where, you know, there's an anti-racist convention, and like a UFO arrives, and Hitler comes out of it. He's like, I've changed my ways. I'm no longer a racist. It is time we will crush racism once and for all. You know, and everyone's, yay! Oh my God, it's anti-racist Hitler. And it's so freaking funny. And what does he do? He goes to Israel, and he's like, oh, you know, you must open the borders. It's racist if you don't do that. You must have multiculturalism in so whatever. It's just I can't do the Hitler accent very well. I guess I failed that test. But anyway, it's funny, and like Tim's a super solid guy. He's been around a long time, lots of experience, very, very good advice. People should fucking listen to him more, honestly. I mean, he's dude's been around and he's very bright, you know. I think I need to hook up with him again. Maybe we can do another show or something. That's another topic that with the Equal Training Anti-CRT program is to, when we're done reviewing the book and kind of creating sort of lessons, then what? You know, where do we go from there? So we're still working that out. Brent Danger from School of the West is on for the finale, which is awesome sauce. Keeping my eye on the clock because I gotta get ready for the Discordant Dragons show. But I have some time, and I appreciate your company. What else? We will crush racism once and for all. I love that line. It's so beautiful. Let's see, very pure love. I had forgotten about that. So good. That video is on Argent Beacon. I don't know what that is. Argent Beacon has so much amazing material. Oh shit, I'm out of the loop on that, guys. Somebody send me a link, like stat. My channel's here. All right, I'm here. What I miss? uh, everything. So not gonna lie, probably just going to rewind this. All right, all right. My channel is a great resource for all kinds of information on all kinds of cool stuff. A good buddy, Murdoch anticipated a pop star saying ridiculously based stuff. They only missed the pop star. In the show, it was Taylor Swift, but IRL, it was Kanye. Yeah. Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with Taylor Swift? Like, this is some kind of like prima donna mentality. I don't know. I don't see the, I don't see what people see in her, I guess. But I'm not a girl, so I don't know. Oh. All right, what else? Maybe I'll do the background up there. That's a good idea. I'll read some comments here. SB says normies require a careful approach. True. You never know how deep to tread with an individual normie, never mind an audience, right? Trying to read a normie is like diffusing a bomb. That is great. That's so true, dude. And I've stepped on a lot of bombs, a lot of landmines. Yeah, and it's like you can't put the cat back in the bag, too. Colin says, is Milei's election a topic in the U.S.? On Twitter it is. I mean, I don't like. Apparently, the guy's a Jew, so like we all know how it ends, you know. It's always like this. It's just so. It's always like this. You cannot be, you know, in the millionaire club if you're not somehow controlled by the Jays. You know, you cannot have this kind of power or attention if you're not. And I mean, you could cite some, you know, like, okay, whatever, you know, Nick Fuentes or something like that. But even Fuentes had fucking, you know, he's got controlled opposition around him. It's tough. It's a tough thing. Yeah, because like the Argentinian president is, you know, he's quite shocking, right? He is like a shock jock type guy. He seems like super nationalist. I saw an interview with him today where he was talking about how he studied the Torah, and that, like, for lack of a better word, he's like Jew adjacent, I guess. That you know, he sort of says like I'm almost Jewish or something, and I have a strong friendship with Israel. Now, it would be wonderful if that was just a normal thing to say, like, oh, it's just the people in a country somewhere, you know. But we know that it's not. We know that it's far bigger and worse than that, you know. And that's our challenge and our problem, is to get it across to the world that, like, it's not just a country and it's not just a religion. There's something like diabolical going on here, and you need to know what it is, you know. And you're seeing it a lot too. It's just, and talk about normies and stuff. This is interesting. You get these kind of normie Republicans that are responding to the war in Gaza, and they make statements or whatever, and then our guys just swoop down on them, and they're like, no, that's not how it is, and here's, check out this link, or here's some data, something, and I think these kind of normie conservatives they're kind of flabbergasted, because they're like, that's not what I believed, that's not what I was told. And some of them, they're like, oh no, I can't abide with this, because then I'll be a Nazi, something like, oh shit, what do I do now? I can't agree with these people, even though they're right. It's just so sad. Anyway. What are you gonna do? It'll all work itself out, come together in time. But it's interesting, because you think, like, they thought, like, with the internet or whatever, that somehow that would give them more control, but it's actually, it kind of backfired. I've even seen things recently in my news feeds about, like, the end of the internet, or like taking total control of the internet. There's like, the Biden administration just signed some bills on ABC, whatever, and it's kind of intended, and then they talk about things like, EMT blasts, or solar waves that are going to hit the earth, and then the whole internet will go out. And I don't doubt that could happen. I know that can happen, and I even know that will happen. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, where does the truth end and the lies begin? Something you always have to kind of keep in mind. Murdoch was on Twitter until about 6 months ago. You're talking about Tim Murdoch? Because he's on Twitter. I'm connected with him. Yes, did a good review today. I loved Murdoch. So much space, beautiful memes, never die. Carlos says, I agree. In my experience, it's important to speak with only one normie at a time. Good point. Never in groups. No. Because it's about conformity. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not. It never was about facts. It's all about being part of the herd. It literally is what it is. And then there's almost a, it's kind of like getting someone off of, like, heroin or something, where it's like, okay, or alcohol or something, where it's like, all right, here's the truth. You're on the other side now, and how do you stay that way? Where do you fit in now? Because you're not, your family and your friends are going to reject you. So who are your new family and friends? It's crazy shit, man. I guess that's why we've got Pepe and Apu. I'd be curious to hear any of your tactics for red pilling normies. That'd be interesting to hear. Maybe a little too detailed for, like, a chat, but certainly it's something I'm interested in. I think I won't. All right, what's next? I'd like to put some shadows on his face. Let's see, groups. Here in Germany, the amateur right is going wild over him. That's why I asked. Yeah, I would imagine that Germany has much, how do I say this? Like, your news resources might be more controlled to the extent that you can't get the other side. I don't know if that makes sense or if that's true. I hear that there's already like so many, what do you call them? Refugees from Palestine that are headed towards Germany. You know. I love how no Muslim countries will take them. You know, that's clearly, it's just clearly what it is, right? It's clearly like, oh, we're working with the Jews to destroy Europe. Oh, but yet we're your friends because we all support Palestine. Really? Everything's a fucking psyop. They're not on our team. That's what I was telling or trying to tell Luke Gage was like, don't fucking cozy up with this shit, dude. Even though they're paying you all kinds of money, they're not our friends. It's one thing I heard all the time when I was working in the Muslim school. My friend, my friend, my friend, my friend. I'll give you a special deal, my friend, my friend. And it was always like whites don't go up to other whites. My friend, my friend. What can I do for you? How can I help you? What do you want? Oh yeah, my friend, my friend. Like, you're not my friend. I don't fucking know you. Like straight out of the gate. It's like, okay, don't trust this person. Crazy. And like to me, I feel like that's even more filthy. Like the idea of like pretending to be someone's friend so you can stab the knife in their back. That's and that happened to me like a lot when I was a teacher until I figured it out. I snapped out of it. It's a painful lesson to learn. You like, oh, I'm a teacher and I love everybody and I'm good and I'm here to help. And they know that and they're like, oh, okay. So, what sucker, we're going to take this guy for a ride, And, you'd have a situation in class where like, oh, I really need to go to the nurse's office. I don't feel good or something. Oh, all right, okay, so here's a pass, make sure you get the homework, something. And then as they're walking out the door, they turn back and they laugh in your face and then run off. It's like, and then all the students laugh with him, think, we lied to you, we got you, It's like, okay, how can you be more of a piece of shit? It's like, it's just nonstop hustle. Like, first we have to gain his trust. And then we're going to take over. It's a culture. You're either hustling or being hustled in that culture. That's not going to work. Anyway, here in Germany, yes. A Winter Crusader 21 is back. Good to have you. Murdoch was funny as hell, but they have their own lives and you got to move on. Okay. But we must always remember, how's it going? It's going pretty good. Keith Woods is holding the liar's feet to the fire. Yeah, he's a big hero right now. He's really kicking it. I've had it blown up in my face before. It's not fun, true. Channel says Nick, Keith, Lucas Gage were on an X space X Spaces the other day. Yeah, all of them. I know that had to have been really good. I didn't catch that, but when Elon drops the Tesla phone, Apple is finished. SB, keyword not all, useful word, a collective. Better yet, elite collective. Ooh, that's a very good concept. I like that. Sadie, the super long fight scene in They Live was a metaphor for red pilling normies. Wow, wow, damn. Yeah, that's an excellent point. It's easier to convince someone of a lie than the fact that they've been lied to. Yeah, that's America's big problem. What's your Twitter name? Are you asking me my Twitter name? It's not Noticer right now. I might change it. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's Amerizera. Well, there's like your at name, and then there's your name, and so Amerizera is the Twitter. So SB says the Gaza conflict being current makes the red pill approach easier. True, I would imagine versus almost any other time. Yeah, that's a good point. Hollander, do they do this in all things? With the risk of being crass, it is a Semitic thing. Yep, not doxing myself. Oh, I see. You guys are talking to each other. Anyway, yeah, I would agree. I would agree. It's creepy as shit to me. Like this whole like, I want to like here. I'm doing all these things to make you trust me so that I can use you. To me, it's a kind of narcissism. It's like, look, I'm going to tell you some secrets, and since I'm telling you secrets, now you can tell me secrets. What are we, 5 years old here? Is this how it works? Silly shit. But anyway, and I can remember there was like some Muslim female teachers at the school as well. Of course, they had to wear their prison cloth that they forced them to wear. And there was one who was like, I don't know, like she divorced her husband, and you don't divorce your husband in that religion. Like you basically get killed if you do that, And so I remember like the white female teachers were all sort of trying to protect her, and I don't, that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that, but it just tells you like, imagine trying to, like, if she ever wanted to find another guy to have a relationship with, she can't because her ex is trying to find her and kill her. It's like, yeah, we want more of that in America. Gosh, where do I sign up? That's great. Like we don't have enough wackos that would do that anyway. We don't need a religious reason to do it. Anyway. Maybe it's time for some music. Change in the beatbox thing going on here. Hold on. Okay, give me a minute here. Sure, I'm gonna get another commercial, but yeah. So there it is, and there you go. It's the other thing too is that whole like Islam is not a race. So like when people claim you're being racist or something, then you can kind of toss that one out at them. And I would also say the same for Judaism, is that like, to me, they're both ideologies, and I think that it's a fair shake. I think you can pretty easily say that they're ideologies, right? Religious ideologies, I guess, or so to me, like the word religion shouldn't be associated with such things because I believe that religion is a positive thing, or should be a positive thing. If it's about man's relationship with God and nature and each other, and where the soul goes after death, and these matters which are very critical. you shouldn't be attaching like genocidal religious beliefs to that. You know, I said, what, talk about bad karma. Holy shit. Whew. There's some bad karma. I really like how this came out. I think that's a beautiful face. It looks really nice. The use of the shadows is really what makes it more powerful. All right. I think I might wrap it up here, guys. It seems like it's been a very long show. And I love that you guys like this show. It's really, you know, I've got to get this artwork done, and so I figure I might as well stream, and then I get a chance to kind of enjoy your company and get to catch up on stuff, share ideas on politics and, you know, culture, whatever. Quick reading the text here. Hollander says, I know that sounds strange with their ostensible suppression of women. SB says 2024 looks to be a year to remember. Oh God, yeah, if we... Anyway, yeah, no idea what to expect. I have a pretty good idea. None really whatsoever. Well, I could share some thoughts on that. Hollander says, that's something in comics that I've always liked, the heavy focus on shadows to create an atmosphere and depth. Yeah, me too, big time. It really does give it that cinematic feel. Thank you. I'm glad you feel that way. Sadie says, free Mr. Bond. Well, I don't know what that's in reference to, but sounds good to me. So, what's happening in 2024? I guess we'll have to cover that on another show. Anyway, God bless you guys. Thanks so much for hanging. It was fun, and I will be on Discordant Dragons. Look it up on YouTube. Show starts at 6. I'm going to give myself a little break before that. And it's going to be a lot of fun, a bunch of guests. It's just crazy, goofy fun. So, Discordant Dragons. Okay, and have a good night, day, evening, something. We'll see you. Oh, and Alfred comes just at the very end. All right, well, anyway, maybe you can catch me on Discordant Dragons on YouTube. Anyway, you have yourself a good one. Talk to you guys soon.